Alright, so I had a Spider-Man 2 video planned, and I wrote it and recorded it, but I had a lot of school stuff, and I spent the weekend seeing the Best Picture nominees, so I wasn't able to make the video like the best it could be, and I didn't want to put it out yet, but I wanted to still post something since it's Tuesday. So I decided to post an old 10-minute mini documentary I made about Steven Spielberg for National History Day in 2015. So this is 3 years ago, I was 14, and it's about Steven Spielberg.
Truth is that what everyone knows is that Steven Spielberg is the greatest storyteller cinema has ever known.
With Steven, the way he shoots and the nature of the amount of expertise and artistry, there is this level of excellence to it that is really quite palpable.
Well, because when sap came off a tree and trapped the mosquito, about 50 million years later, the sap got hard. Actually, it gets hard before 50 million years, and it entombs the mosquito. So mosquito,
How did you make this one?
Well, we waited 50 million years. We've been in pre-production for 50 million years on this movie, Jurassic Park, by golly.
When you work with people like Steven at Pioneers of Technology, you know it's going to come out as something very specific, something you haven't seen before, something that really changed the way things are done.
Lives, be ready to hear what whispers in your ear. It very rarely shouts. And if you can listen to the whisper, and if it tickles your heart, and it's something you think you want to do for the rest of your life, then that is going to be what you do for the rest of your life.
There is no denying that Steven Spielberg has created and inspired a vast majority of modern cinema. With masterpiece after masterpiece, he has become a leader and pioneer of the film industry, with technical advances like Jurassic Park and E.T. the Extraterrestrial, to Oscar winners like Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan. But where does the story of the legendary director begin? Some may say from the beginning of his first professional directing effort, Duel. Others may say from his first breakout success, Jaws. But Steven's story as a filmmaker really begins at the age of 5 when, after promising to bring him to the greatest show on earth, his father brought him to the local movie theater.
I realized that my father had lied to me and had betrayed me and had taken me to a circus that wasn't a circus. It was a movie about a circus. The feeling of disappointment and regret and betrayal lasted only about 10 minutes, and then I became just one more victim of this tremendous drug called cinema.
In 1958, for a Boy Scout photography merit badge, Steven was tasked with telling a story with a still image. But his father's still camera being broken, he asked if he could bend the rules.
I went to the Scoutmaster. I said, "Can I tell a story with our home movie camera?" He said yes, to fulfill the requirements for the merit badge. And I made a little Western called Gunsmog, and the response set me on fire.
As the years went by, featuring an entire summer spent on the Universal backlot, Steven had an idea for a new movie, Amblin.
Yeah, this was the first movie that sort of got me into the movies, because this movie got me a chance to have a contract to direct television at Universal Studios.
After directing a couple of TV episodes for a few different shows, Steven Spielberg set his sights on the made-for-television movie known as Duel. Spielberg describes Duel as an indictment of machines, and that he determined very early on that everything about the film would be the complete disruption of our whole technological society. With Duel's success, and his film after that, The Sugarland Express, being a well-received but unfortunate financial failure, Spielberg started work on his next project, Jaws.
We were called out to see the first shark test. The first time the shark was going to be in the water and was going to, perform. The shark came out of the water beautifully. And then the head kind of went back down like a submarine. And then there was an explosion of bubbles. Then it was eerily quiet. And we actually were witnessing the shark sinking to the bottom of the ocean. That Monday, I suddenly had to improvise a plan B, which was basically to make the film as scary as I possibly could by suggesting the shark without having to show the shark. and that became my motif for the rest of the picture.
Jaws was a tremendous success, making $470 million worldwide, making it the highest grossing film of the time, a title which it held for 2 whole years. In the following years after Jaws, Spielberg continued to reinvent the modern blockbuster with Close Encounters of the Third Kind, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, and the Indiana Jones films. But he also started branching into the drama genre with Empire of the Sun and The Color Purple.
What did you say to Miss Millie?
I said, hell.
After directing Always and Hook, Spielberg decided to make his next project an adaptation of the novel Jurassic Park.
A main character, digital dinosaur, had never been done before for the movies. So in a way, Jurassic Park was the first movie that ever made its main characters, where the entire success or failure of the story was dependent on these digital characters. That was the first time that was ever done, and that was the risk I think all of us took.
When you were shooting it, did you know this was the start of something very big, Sam?
Well, it was a sort of intersection of various technologies coming, but most of all it was Steven, who was such a master at suspense and thrills, you know. So it kind of a bunch of things came together and it's become iconic, really. You know, it's become ingrained in the culture in a strange way.
In 1993, the same year as Jurassic Park, Spielberg unveiled his second picture of the year, the Holocaust drama Schindler's List, which won 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture.
It was emotionally a devastating experience to put those images on film. I didn't deal with it. Kate was there, and my kids were there with me. But it's the only movie I can ever recall saying, thank God I had these people in my life to get me through it.
After Schindler's List, Spielberg's next couple of films included a sequel to Jurassic Park, Amistad, a movie about the 1839 mutiny aboard a slave ship, and yet another World War II Academy Award-winning Best Picture, Saving Private Ryan.
We're actually thinking, you know, without patting ourselves on the back, that this movie was going to come out, and I thought nobody would go to see this picture. They might see a few people go the first weekend because Tom Hanks is the star, but they're going to be so turned off by the violence, they're not going to come back the second weekend. And I thought this would be a one-weekend wonder, but I thought the film was going to add something to inform audiences what soldiers have to really go through when they're in the hellfire of combat.
As the 90s drew to a close and the 2000s began, Spielberg continued to be a leader in shaping the face of film with movies like AI Artificial Intelligence, Minority Report, Catch Me If You Can, The Terminal, War of the Worlds, and Munich. After directing another Indiana Jones movie, Spielberg decided to do something very different and direct his first animated film based off the European Tintin comic strips.
I could have made this movie and had it come out in the 1980s, I would have. And I'm not sure what the moral compass was in the 1980s. I think it was a lot more moral, back then. But at the same time, Tintin is a timeless character. We didn't set the film in any specific decade, so it's generic to all decades.
What jury's going on going to and volunteering?
I don't doubt your qualifications, Albert. But the law was very clear about the proper age for soldiering.
Though he's had producing credits since, Lincoln and Warhorse, both very successful films, are his latest directorial efforts. That is, if you don't count his latest directing effort coming out October 2015. Which you totally should, by the way. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd say it's safe to say that Steven Spielberg is not yet done changing the way we see movies, and that this legendary pioneer, leader, and director's legacy is not yet over. And I personally cannot wait to see what happens next.
All right, how's it going? Thanks for watching that. If you liked it, like the video, share it with somebody. Subscribe to see a video like it every Tuesday. And next week will be the Spider-Man 2 video. It's a beautiful day. I did say that in the video.